Hi, welcome back to Book Buzz for Jen and Ping, a podcast where we talk about romance books, our current reads. We also have the pleasure and honor of sitting down and talking to some of our favorite authors and talk about their amazing books. Today, we have the pleasure of having QB Tyler with us, and we're going to be talking about her books, her heroes, and so much more. So sit back, relax, and grab some coffee, and we hope you enjoy today's episode.
Hi guys! Oh my gosh, it's so nice to see you.
Hi.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much for joining us. It's definitely an honor to have you. I've been wanting to talk to you about all of your books. I have a lot of questions about it. So thank you so much for joining us. And so how are you doing so far with all this quarantine and everything?
Well, I mean, it's definitely been a little better this year. 2020 was difficult for sure. I have a day job and I was only shut down for 3 months. So last year, kind of right around June, they were like, okay, you guys are back. So I would say it's been challenging, but probably not as different as, other people that have been working from home this whole time. I've been kind of still doing my normal things, but it's definitely a little weird. As far as writing though, it definitely has taken a toll. Also meeting someone and getting married definitely halted some of my writing because I was spending a lot of time with him and then I moved in with him and his family and I've talked about it more in my reader group, but for this podcast, I will share also he has daughters, and they're teenagers. So it's definitely a different environment than when I'm used to being by myself and being able to sit in a room, a dark, quiet room and write for 10 hours straight. I don't have that luxury anymore. As you can see, I'm outside. Oh, I guess they don't see, but you guys see.
Yeah. Well, it's such an honor to have you here because we love your books. I have so many questions I want to ask you about a certain book, and we're going to get to that in a little bit. But first of all, I want to ask you, how did you decide that you want to be an author? Because I know that you said that you love 50 Shades Christian a lot.
Yeah.
Did that have anything to do with how you started writing?
Yes. So I read 50 Shades in 2012, kind of before everyone, they're waving at me from the door. Kind of right before everyone kind of, I feel jumped on the bandwagon of it, or were oh my gosh, this book and exploded, kind of for that. And I loved it. I read it in all 3 books in the span of a weekend. And it was I don't know. It was life-changing almost because I didn't that much. And before then, I was really into Twilight, of course. And I loved the movies. I loved, and then when 50 Shades came, so I loved it and I was I need more. I want more. So I kind of started dabbling in fan fiction, not writing it yet, just reading it because I was so obsessed. I was I need more Christian and Anna. So there weren't that many at the time. When I started reading fan fiction, there were 90 stories and I had read them all and I was all right, so and so then I started writing and the community just got huge. Some of my really close author friends also started in fan fiction. So we kind of just built a little community and then, I wrote 11 stories and yeah.
That's amazing.
Maybe I should publish, I should publish now. So my best friend's sister and the Bittersweet Duet were originally Christian and Anna. And I just repurposed them. Podcast on Read Me Romance, Fantasy with a Felon. That was also a fan fiction that I broke up. But yes. Christian is I feel in the beginning, he was all of my heroes. And now I feel I've kind of evolved and have different attributes. I've never written a billionaire romance, so they're not all Christian, I guess. They're Christian's personality and my twist on them.
Well, I love Christian too, so I love all of the heroes, and I really can't pick who is my favorite hero from yours. Like, I don't know. There's just something about all of the heroes that they're so alpha,
Yes.
and your books are like, oh my gosh, your books are legit fire. Like the way how you write, I just adore. So I totally love it. But then you did talk a little bit about it, but I'm gonna ask you again. So how do you juggle being a newlywed, having a full-time job, and being off at the same time?
It's hard. I have not released a book here, so I feel like that's a testament to that. But I mean, it's definitely like a balance. I work 36 hours a week, I guess, ish. Actually, no, it's like closer to 40 now. And when I come home, like, I want to spend time with my husband and, my family and stuff like that. But, I probably should be, not neglecting writing as much as I have this year. But, I'm kind of just trying to get like acclimated to the new environment that I'm in and like being married and everything that has come with being married. So I try to get some writing and I'm better about it now. And I think now since I just finished, the book for my I'm like, okay, I have this energy now. Like, let me finish Unlawful. I want to talk about that. Let me finish this book and go out in the year with a bang. I have audios coming out later this year and like a couple other surprises I have up my sleeve I haven't talked about yet. So I do want to get Unlawful out and summer semester. Actually, I don't know how I'm going to do it, but those are my plans. So yeah, I try to write now, like when I get home, I write like 9:30, 10 o'clock at night to like midnight 1. And, I used to be able to do it until like 3 or 4 in the morning and then go to work. But like, I can't do that anymore. I guess maybe that's also like I've gotten a little older. I've gotten a little bit older, so I can't quite do, that anymore.
Has writing taboo or forbidden romance always been the trope you want to write?
Maybe not taboo, forbidden, yes. From the beginning, I kind of was always doing forbidden romances. Like, as you know, the Bittersweet Duet is a forbidden romance. So, like, I've always kind of like liked that. Yeah, I've just always kind of liked romances where like people are together, shouldn't be, not quite as aggressive as like Unconditional or Love Unexpected, but just like I like, teacher student. I've always loved office romance. I really need to write another one. Like the Beautiful series by Christina Lauren, Beautiful Bastard, I was obsessed with. Like I was so obsessed. That's where Bennett's name in Forget Me Not came from. Fun fact. So, I just have always liked, like the sneaking around and the, like hiding and stuff like that. The taboo-ness came from, and I've like said this a million times, from like reading Kay Webster's The Wild, reading Welcome to the Dark Side by Gianna Darling, like reading a lot of like indie books. And I was like, wow, I really like this. I should write something like that. And that's kind of where that came in more once I was already publishing.
Because I have to say, you're definitely one of my favorite authors for forbidden romance.
Sweet.
Your books, I love all of them. So now this is, I hope it will happen soon. If you could have one of your books made into a movie, which one will it be, and who would you cast as the actors for it?
My gosh, this is okay. Wow. So I actually thought about this, and honestly, I would say for content purposes, as much as I would love to see Unconditional Love Unexpected in a movie, I don't think that would ever come to fruition or that would work. So in my head, it's been Forget Me Not or the Bittersweet Duet. But for the sake of this question, since I kind of already know the answer, I'm going to use Forget Me Not. And I really love that story, and I love how much it resonates with a lot of readers. Like it resonated with my taboo forbidden romance lovers, and then also people that are like, unconditional is too much for me, but I really like this book, Forget Me Not. And I have tons of readers that have told me that, like, I don't read those, but I love, these books. I loved The Bittersweet Duet. I like your Campus Tales. But Forget Me Not is, I feel like, my most popular outside of my taboo books, because those are my most popular by far. But yeah, Forget Me Not, I just feel like it's, if it were to be made into a movie, I probably would like add some more things in, maybe, and because it's obviously heavily like them two just kind of like working through it, and there's not a whole lot of like huge things that happen, which is like, I feel like a lot of my books, there's not like huge moments. It's really just like the couple kind of like getting it on and like their life together. But with Forget Me Not, I do really love that story. I love how Bennett loves Olivia. I love how Olivia still loves Bennett despite the like pain and heartbreak that she's been through. So, I mean, if I had to, so I like, when I did my like dream cast, and when I was like sharing pictures and stuff, I had two people in mind. The guy, his name is, what's his name? First name's Tyler. I think his last name's Stranahan. He's actually Brittany Snow's husband. And when I saw him, I was like, this is the perfect person to be Bennett. So yes, Brittany Snow's husband. They just got married. That is who Bennett is. Like, that's how I like wrote him. And then for the girl, for Olivia, so she was a model. Her name was Cameron Smith, I think. She's kind of how I envisioned her also, but for the sake of like you guys knowing who she is and like trying to look her up or something, I guess I would have to go with like maybe like Zoe Saldana, or let me think. She's definitely a good one, or Zendaya would be good. Isabel Kravitz, like definitely that look. Any of those women I feel like would be phenomenal. Okay, manifesting. But yes, definitely for Bennett, if you know who Brittany Snow is from Pitch Perfect and everything else, every other like someone great, her husband, that's Bennett.
Well, since you touched a little bit on Forgive Me Not, I have a question for you. I read that book. I don't read cheating books. I try to avoid them. But, there's times where you want to read something that's going to hurt. I love crying in books. I don't know why. So Pang talked about it and I picked it up. I couldn't stop thinking about it for days. I mean, I still think about it and I tell Pang it still hurts because it was for me, it was a very different type of book than what I'm usually, that I usually read. So for that one, we did see them go through a lot. And I mean, Olivia suffered a lot. It was a tough one. There is a point, if people haven't read it, sorry, spoiler. So there is a scene.
It's fine.
There is a scene on there where she, like the mother-in-law, would you ever consider going back into that world and writing more about them? Because I feel like with the mother-in-law, we saw her more with the other person than really with an Olivia side. Because I know we did see her at the end, like going to go talk
like
to
through
her.
through her eyes?
Yes.
So I would probably, I've always said that I would go back and write Alyssa and Ren's story. I don't know when that's going to be, but I definitely do want to write their story. The difficulty with writing Alyssa and Ren's story is that I have to write it before Forget Me Not took place, because they met and got married when like they're already together when Forget Me Not happens. So I'm going to do like a meet cute and like basically write a scene for Grey's Anatomy, them hooking up in a on-call room. Like I have to write it before Forget Me Not. So yes, if I did, when that time comes, there is going to be probably not as many scenes because it's Bennett's mom, but Bennett and Ren have been friends for forever. So of course he's going to know, Caroline as well. I probably would have to touch on the dynamic. Caroline and Olivia do not get along, and maybe even like feel like I'm like brainstorming here. I feel like that would be like people would understand like after they, you know, once they read Forget Me Not, like, wow, build up in Alyssa and Ren's book. We knew they weren't going to get along. So, I mean, that's probably the only way I would jump back into that story would be with Alyssa and Ren, unless I did like a really short little like, I guess like a follow-up with them that would probably only be like 20,000 words. It would be that. But by that point, Caroline and Olivia, I feel like would be on better terms. I don't know that I see them regressing back to where they were after everything they've been through.
Well, I'm hoping for both. I haven't read a lot of like doctor books. I love Grey's Anatomy. Like I binge watch it like all the time. So that would be a really good book, and I love them. So I'm crossing my fingers for both.
I have to do definitely some research for Alyssa and Ren's book, just because all I really know about medicine is Grey's Anatomy, and one of my really good friends is a PA, and she's like, that's not accurate. Nothing about that is accurate. So, I would have to like, you know, try and not take too many creative liberties, but like I said, I really want to do another office romance, and although it's not an office per se, it's still a workplace romance, and I would, you know, when it comes time to do it, it would probably be their book.
Backtrack a little bit. Which book has been the hardest for you to write, and why?
Besides Unlawful? Besides that, Love Unexpected was difficult. Again, just being in a really weird situation and like unprecedented times. Like I was writing on my phone. I was writing at work still. I didn't really have a lot of time to write at home. So I was like, whenever I had a spare second, I was just writing. And, you know, I had to push my editing date back like 2 or 3 times. It wasn't like, I felt like I just didn't have, like I was missing what I felt in Unconditional, which is what I was like, when I write taboo romances, I have to feel that. Like I feel it with the book I've been talking about, that's the anthology. Like there's something that like, it's something that just has to click. And it wasn't like, I was like, I don't know if it's like their emotional connection's not there, the sexual connection's not there. And I just was like, I can't put this out. You know, people are, you know, if I'm going to do this, if I'm going to do a, you know, a stepfather, stepdaughter romance, I have to do like justice for myself. So that took me like, I started like talking about it in like March, and it didn't come out until August, which is kind of long for me to write a book. Usually I can do it a little shorter than that. But I mean, I'm happy with the product. Looking back, there are some things I wish I could have done a little bit differently, but I mean, as far as the spice, I was happy with it. But yeah, I would say Love Unexpected was definitely my hardest book to write. Unconditional literally flew out of me. So did First Semester. And I would say Love Unexpected was my hardest. Spring Semester was kind of hard too, but that's because I was trying to figure out whose story I was telling. And I was like telling too many different ones at the same time. But yeah.
But what's harder when you're writing? Like, is starting, ending it, or is the middle of the book always harder for you?
So the period between like 70% and 85%, that is the hardest for me, because I feel like I'm like tying up loose ends, and then randomly I'll like, something will come to me and I'm like, oh, I don't have time for another plot point. Like, no. So I would say like ending the book is harder. I love writing the epilogue. I love writing like the happily ever after, but the point right before it gets there, that's where I struggle. Like, I'm like, where am I? And I think, you know, that's part of my reason or my stress with Unlawful is that like, I'm literally I haven't really talked about this, but I'm at the 50% mark. Like I've written 45,000 words. I'm just like, I feel like I've hit a wall. Like what am I doing? And, you know, there's something I know go back and tweak, but like the half, I like it. I like where, you know, the story I'm telling, but I don't know if it's just because it's angstier than what I'm usually writing and not as heavily sexual. Spoiler alert, I guess. But it's that's just like the period where I feel like I'm confused. And I also, one of my downfalls is I write kind of out of order sometimes. So sometimes I'll write a scene that's like in that 70 to 85% mark. And then when I get there, I realize it doesn't fit, or I'm in the wrong POV and I have to like completely change it. So, and like my editor will be like, was it a different person's point of view at one point? Because you're confusing me. Like, whose thoughts are we in? And I'm like, oops, I was her before and now I'm him. And just change the pronouns for me. It's fine. So yeah, that point is definitely like the hardest for me.
Talking a little bit about unlawful.
Okay.
You brought it up.
So what do you want to know?
Because I'm dying for that book. I was like, I was telling Jan.
I know.
I was telling
Jan. It's so bad. There are like so many cute little glimpses of Cal and Maddie. Like, I love it so much. I'm like, should I have just written like a sequel to Unconditional, honestly? Because that's what I feel like all my readers are so excited for. They're like, yeah, Aria's where's Cal and Maddie at? So basically the book is 4 years later after Unconditional. It starts with, I'll give you a little brief into the prologue. It starts with Aria like writing a note to Henry. She's at a bar, like, and she's like upset and she's like crying. She's writing a note to Henry. Like, her therapist encouraged her to like, because she didn't really get a chance to like say goodbye or like tell him how she felt, to like write notes to him. And then she stores them. Later in the book, like, you'll learn that Alexander is kind of like helping her, like, you need to like burn me, stop holding on to this. Anyway, spoiler. So she's writing this note to him, and he like goes up to her, and she like scrambling to like hide her little notes, and he like makes note of that, and you know, they talk about that later. But yeah, so that's how like the story opens, is like the prologue is literally a note she wrote to him, and kind of talking about the night he died, like what he did to Maddie. And then the phone rings and she picks up the phone and it's Maddie calling her, and that's how the prologue ends. So yes, little sneak peek. But yeah, then you go on. There's a lot of things in this book that I cannot share yet because it's supposed to be a surprise, but there are some twists you don't see coming, some situations for Aria you may not have expected for her, some situations she gets herself in that you're like, wow, I didn't see that for Aria, but you go, girl. But yeah, it's a little, it's different than my other books, I will say. I feel like it's definitely more angsty. Like, I would say it's probably even a little more angstier than Forget Me Not, or like right on par with Forget Me Not. I am definitely still working through Alex and Aria's chemistry a little bit. Like, right now it's 50%, so they've had sex, but I don't necessarily know that the emotional connection is there yet. It is, but in my eyes, I feel like there should be more. And I'm sure I'll go back and like edit stuff. Again, I'm only at 50%, maybe 55. But yeah, I think that's part of why I'm like struggling a little bit, is I feel like I'm not connecting with them, or like I'm not making them connect the way I want them to connect. And if I feel like that, then I know my readers are going to feel like that. So, I just have to be like super loyal to my craft, I guess is the right way to say it, or very like, I'm protective over it. So I don't want to put something out that I feel like isn't ready.
Do you think it'll be out by the end of this year?
So I promised about this book in like May. So I don't want to give like a date, but yes. Now that I finished James and Gabrielle's story, I don't really have a title for that yet. It's hard sometimes to come up with one, especially when you're in an anthology. So like, you don't really need it, but I am going to have one. I just don't know what it is yet. Anyway, since I finished that, and I feel like I was saying earlier, like rejuvenated and like ready to like conquer the world, my plan is to have it out by the end of this year. I want to at least release a full length book. So yes, that is my plan. I'm not really sure exactly when it would be. It is going to be a surprise release. Like, I'm not going to do a pre-order. It's just going to be like, all right, I'm done. Here you go. Have it. Realistically, I would love for it to be in like October or November. But, if it has to be December, that's cool. But, know that I am working like as hard as I can and as quickly as I can to like get this book out. It's just been a little bit of a struggle. But I am hopeful that it'll be this year.
I hope to. I'll keep you in my thoughts so you will write faster.
Positive vibes.
Yes. So from all of your heroes, who's your favorite one? The hero that you've wrote.
So I got this question the other day, actually, and I think I said Cal. But it's either Cal or Bennett, I would say. They're my two faves. All my heroes I feel like are very passionate and very like obsessed with the heroine. That's kind of my brand. But there is something different about Bennett because he did cheat on his wife, and like the fact that so many readers are like, you had me rooting for him. Like, what is the crap you put in this book? I'm like, I don't know. But I do feel like he really does love her so much. And it really was just like a stupid, drunken mistake, not condoning it and not saying that I wouldn't have done what Olivia did in her, if I was in her place. And I don't know if I ever would have taken Bennett back. I can't speak to that really because I'm not in the situation, but I just love the way he loves her. Same with Cal. I mean, I think there's something different about Cal and Maddie because they were my like gateway drug to taboo books. So they're like, and like, they surprised me in a way I was not expecting. I wasn't expecting the hype that book got. I was still so new. And it really only had a few other books that I'd written and they weren't taboo. So, when that book kind of took off and everyone was like, all right, what else you got? What other taboo books do you have? And I'm like, nothing. This was it. I feel like that kind of like changed who I was as an author a little bit. Had Unconditional probably not had the success that it did, which I would like to owe to K. Webster because she screamed about it in her group. And I feel like I kind of got a fan base overnight because thanks to her. She's amazing. But I think that had that not happen and I hadn't tapped into like that taboo market, I probably may not have gotten into it. I might have just stayed in the forbidden romance lane and not really gone to taboo.
Well, I'm going to say again, because you talked about it. Forgive me I'm not over it. And it's like been months. And so writing that, how was it writing this story of he cheated and then them finding themselves, back together and he lost his memory, but you made it to where they both remember the reason they fell in love.
Right. Yeah. So I knew I always wanted to write an amnesia romance. Even before when I wrote fan fiction, I was going to write a Christian and Anna amnesia romance and kind of like, he doesn't remember that he loves her. He thinks she's just a sub still. Like I had a whole plot. And then I just started publishing and I was like, all right, well, I guess this is going to be, an original piece. And then I just kind of nixed all of, what makes Christian and Anna. Because I was like, he doesn't need to be a dom. She doesn't need to be a sub. I can just do an amnesia romance. So I knew that I didn't know that they were going to be like, falling like not together in my head. Like when I was planning to write it, I was going to do like, he just didn't know her. Like he didn't know, like they were in love, they were together, but he was going to like forget meeting her and falling in love. And I felt like I'd seen that before. I was like, that's, I feel like that's The Vow, and which people have compared that book to.
Yeah.
Or other books where, that happens. So I was like, what if he remembers all the good stuff, but like they were estranged and like they weren't together and he doesn't remember that. So I was like, well, I've never read that before. So let's go with that. Let's see how that works. Carmel Rhodes is like one of my really good friends, one of like my bestie. I always talk about her. I think she read like the prologue and the first chapter and she was like, where are you going with this? Like, what is happening? And by the end, she was like, I can't believe that I like this book as much as I do, basically, because, I hadn't read anything really like this. I didn't think I was going to like it. I don't like book cheating with, in books as, don't really, especially between the hero and the heroine. So, you know, you're taking a risk, but let's see it through. And I was like, okay, let's do it. And I sent it to my editor, and she was like, I remember I was at a wedding, and she sent it back to me, and she was like, basically like, oh my God, when is this coming? Like, I loved it. And I would say Forget Me Not and Unconditional had like my best reactions from my editors. Like, I love this book. This is amazing. And it's funny enough, you know, they're two of my most popular books. So I guess I did something right.
I want more.
They are, I love that book. I do have this has a special place in my heart. And I think, you know, I don't like to read a lot of cheating books either. I have read a few. And I think that the difference, and something I like consciously did, is like, I feel like in cheating books, you start off with them being happy. And then you see a little like changes of like whoever's cheating and how they're changing. Whereas in my book, like it already happened off page, and well, although you see a glimpse of it, but like it's already happened in the past, and you're kind of like, you can only go up. Where I feel, you know, I've read a lot of cheating books where like you're watching it happen in real time, which the time.
Well, what I think I love about your books too is that your heroines are always they're strong. And I think that's what I like more about that book, is that, yeah, she was hurt and everything, but she was always true to herself. And she fought, both of them fought to get to where they ended up in, which I think that's what makes the book so unique and so perfect, that yes, they went through all of this, but she stood her ground. She's who she is. And I just love that. I think for me, she's the reason I love the book, because she's this strong heroine who never, like, she was hurt, but she never forgot who she was.
Well, thank you. I love that. I mean, I have read reviews where people have called Olivia weak. Same with Charlotte and My Bittersweet Duet. They're like, why is this girl always crying? Like, she's, you know, so I like hearing, you know, people say that, because I don't see either of those characters as weak. I see them as people put in difficult situations, and they're women, and they're sensitive, and they, you know, they're strong, of course, but like they, you know, I'm a very sensitive person. I don't necessarily like cry all the time, but I feel like if I was in either of their situations, I would be. But I feel a lot of things all the time. So when people say like, oh, she's weak, you know, she took him back, like this is the man, like Bennett was the man that she fell in love with, not the man of the last 6 months. Like it's like that person is gone, and he's, you know, I don't know. I don't see either of them as weak, but
I don't.
Yeah, it's nice to hear that you guys don't either, because I definitely get reviews that are like, that she is.
I don't, man. And when I'm sorry, I'm like, keep talking about the book. When he like told her he had remembered, I was like, oh, I was like so shocked. I was like, oh my God. It was like 2 a.m, and I was like, I can't stop reading.
Oh, makes me happy.
And since you said that about what readers say, do you read your reviews? Like, do you read reviews that people leave, or do you try to step away from all
I read
that?
All of them. I will say, like, now, you know, if there's like an influx of reviews for Love Unexpected, I don't necessarily catch all of those, because I'm not like stalking my reviews anymore. But when a book first releases, I would say for the first month, I read everything, every Goodreads review, every Amazon review, every BookBub review, anything that, like, if I'm tagged in something, I read them, because I want to know, you know, I don't think I have the thickest skin in the world, but I think that I can handle, you know, and I've gotten some very gritty reviews for Love Unexpected and Unconditional. So I think that it's good for me. I like to see because there's also a lot of constructive criticism. I've gotten 2-star reviews where I'm like, she's right. Damn, that was spot on. So, you know, I read them all. Like I said, maybe not, if you leave a review today for one of my books, I may not catch it. Or, you know, when I do I do like a little once over every month or 2 months, and like just see what else, like I like, you know, see most recent reviews, and then like kind of skim those a little bit. But like during release times, I know some authors are like, it's not good for my mental health, and that is amazing. Like, I'm glad that they recognize that they can't, like, they don't want to see it, or it's not good for them. I like to know what's being said, or what I like to like test the temperature of the book community to see, what people are saying. If a 2-star review has 70 likes, I want to know why, like what, why it, who's kind of agreeing with it. Now, some of those 2-star reviews that get all those likes are usually like, I can't believe this girl wrote this book about a stepfather and her stepdaughter. What is wrong with her? So, I mean, I take those in stride. But as far as like content and like, things like that, I want to know what readers think so I can, do better, or at very least be like, they don't know what they're talking about.
We're going to touch up a little bit about your covers. How do you come up with your covers, or do you already have them before you write your stories, or do you have the covers after you finish your books?
So for the most part, I would say for the most part, it's like halfway through. Once I'm like halfway through the book, I'm like, all right, it's time to get the cover designed, unless I see something and I'm like, this is it. Like, I know I need it. And I actually have a cover for a book I haven't written yet because I just liked it so much. So who knows? Maybe if I ever write, I told myself if I ever wrote Seth's story, which is Dominic's brother, it would be the cover for his book because it fits exactly. It's a man on a cover. And I'm like, this man's fine. He looks like Seth. Great. But for the most part, yeah, it's like I'm usually halfway through the story, and then I'm like, okay, it's time to get the cover together. And, for a long time, I had one cover designer. Now I work with Danielle James. She's an author also. She did my Love Unexpected cover, my Unlawful cover, and she did something else. Maybe just those two. But she is my cover designer for the foreseeable future. She's amazing. I love her. And, it's just easy to like, when one of your friends is doing it, 'cause you can kind of just like go back and forth. It's not so, I'm like, what do you think? And, I kind of give her a lot more leeway than I have for my past cover designer, although I loved her as well. I will say for Forget Me Not, I basically designed that. I was like, I found the picture. I knew what the font wanted to look like. And I was like, this is what I want it to look like. Here you go. And then she made it prettier. And it was exactly how I envisioned it.
Yes, I love those. I love your covers. So
thank you so much. I mean, I will say that Love Unexpected and maybe Unconditional a little bit, since they are a little bit sexier, I definitely get some messages that are like, can you make some more discreet covers so I can read these in public? I'm like, oh, my bad. Sorry. But and now my bittersweet covers, I'm like, oh, you thought that Love Unexpected wasn't discreet. But I don't know. I write sexy books and I want the cover to reflect what's inside of them. Now, yes. I do love concept covers, where there's like no people and it's, things like that. I love those and they're so pretty. I just don't think that like they'll, for me, like, I just don't know that it will catch enough people's eyes. Maybe now that, people know the way I write, they'll be like, oh, I know what's inside of this. But thought that people on covers just sold better. And that's kind of what they teach you, when I say, I mean, like just the indie streets, they teach you that, that people on covers just, they do better. I think that man chests are kind of going away. I feel like there's not as many of those around. I mean, there still are, and they still do amazing, but I feel like people are not using those as much. And I don't know, I guess, trends change. Although I do love a man chest cover. We'll just look at that out there.
What's a trope that you haven't write yet and you will love to write?
So obviously, my adopted siblings are coming out, but I knew I always wanted to do like a stepbrother or adopted brother, something like that. And so I'm glad I got that off. I want to do a ex-boyfriend's dad, obviously. or ex something, just the dad. One of my betas and like a really good friend of mine also, she was like,
Mhm.
you need to write this story, even if it's just for me. Okay. But yeah, that's definitely what I want to write. I definitely want to do another teacher student, but like not as fun. I want to do a more like angsty teacher student book. And obviously I told you I want to do another office romance, but as terms of things I haven't done, definitely that. I don't love like friends' husbands or like siblings' husbands, just because I feel like that's like a level of betrayal that like I wouldn't know how to like bring the hero or heroine, whoever did it, like that. So I kind of will probably stay away from that. But definitely, yeah, an ex-boyfriend or ex-fiance's dad is up there. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I would want to do. Oh, duh. I want to do a bodyguard romance too.
Yes.
I
Yes. We need more.
Yes. I actually have I can't believe I'm outing myself so much, but I wrote a fanfic about bodyguard romance, and I've always been like, I wouldn't repurpose that because that was literally like my first one and the writing is terrible, but like I really enjoyed writing that story. So I definitely want to do it, like publish one. So that's like, I would say that is after Unlawful, I would say that a bodyguard romance is definitely like somewhere in the next year. Like that's been like in the forefront of my brain. Like I want to write a book.
Yes.
I don't know. I have like the prologue and the first chapter of one where it's she's the president's daughter and he's like Secret Service.
Yes, I need that.
But I stopped because I was like, okay, refresh my memory on like presidential things, and I don't have time right now. But so like I have like, yeah, the first 2 chapters of that. I have so many books like partly written and like or like first 2-3 chapters of it that you guys would be like, wow, we want all these books.
Yes.
Like, yeah, I gotta finish them. Because I love writing the beginning of a book, like the prologue and the first chapter are like my favorite things to write. So I have so many of those with different stories.
Now I need that one. You have to hurry up.
Yes. Goes live, I'm gonna have an influx of messages like, so where's this bodyguard romance at you were talking about?
Yes.
Need to know. I got you. Presidential, come find me.
So have you been reading any books this year?
So yes, more than last year for sure. So I read The Takeover. Loved it. I read There's 6 Venom. That was my first FF and I loved it. So good. I was like, okay. Didn't know that. This. I read Ice Planet Barbarians. Really loved that. I read It Ends With Us by Colleen Hoover. Amazing. I was like live tweeting that or talking about that. I'm currently reading Daddy's Angel. I read Your Dad Will Do. You can see like I'm in a little daddy phase right now. I am going to read It Happens One Summer next. That's my next book. I'm listening to Saint on Audible right now by Sierra Simone. And I'm trying to think. I feel like those are the highlights in my head. I also want to read Inked in Lies and Dead Man Walking because I have not read those yet. I need to read those. And those were like heavy on when I did the Grumpy Sunshine post, like give me some, everyone was talking about that. And, and I want to read Birthday Girl. Those are, that's my list. I have never read it.
Wow.
Right. I've been reading a lot more recently. I feel like I didn't read it all last year. I think last year, all I read was Coach Me by Shanora Williams. Amazing. But I think that's the only book I read all last year. And well, I beta read Truly, obviously. So like I read that, but I think that was really the only 2 I think I read. And then this year I'm like way over that. I'm like loving reading again. And I read at work and I read like right before I go to sleep. I went out to like have a couple of drinks with my husband. I was reading at the bar. So I'm back like loving reading again. So like I'm all about it. I feel like I read something else. Oh, I read The Games We Play. Oh my God, I loved that. that little the gamer novella. So good. Sorry, there's a plane. So yeah, I read those. I feel like I've also read some other books too that I'm kind of just like escaping my brain, and I'm sure they were amazing. I just can't remember exactly.
So you do have 2 anthologies that's coming out this year.
Well, one's in November. One is March of next year. But yeah,
Okay.
we talked about them already.
I saw your little previews about it, and I need them already. Like, I need a new book from you soon. I'm dying for a new book from you.
I know. I hope Gabrielle will give you like a little taste, because I do want to repurpose it into like a full length also. It ends happily, but I want to like make it a full length once it goes out of, because the anthology I think is only going to be live for 1 month, and then we'd all take them out, and I'll repurpose it and like give it a cover, probably add, because it's 30,000 words, and I might get it to like 50 and then re-release it and put it in KU and all that stuff, because it won't at first. So I'm hoping I will do that like pretty much right when it comes out. So I'm going to probably also be like working on that over the next month or so, just because I think it'll be out by the first of the year. So like done. The anthology will be over, I think. I don't quote me on that, but hopefully by sometime in January, I'll be ready to put them back into the wild, because I love them so much. They're so like, they're just so in love. I love them.
Well, we can't wait for all of you. I'm pretty sure everyone is like dying for your magic words, because I am.
Oh, thank you. You guys are so sweet.
So before we let you go, this is something new we try. We are just going to do a this or that game that we found on Pinterest for people to know a little bit more about you. So, coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Rose gold or gold?
Rose gold.
Instagram or Pinterest?
Instagram.
Sweet or salty?
Ooh.
Mornings or evenings?
Evenings. Not a morning person.
Summer or winter?
Summer.
Summer? Oh wow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love it. I'm not made for the cold, and marathons are no joke.
Sandals or boots?
This is going to conflict with my last answer, but boots.
Yeah.
Because you said summer, I really thought you were going to say sandals.
I know. I don't really wear a lot of sandals. I wear a lot of heels. So like if it's a heeled sandal, like a wedge, like, okay, I'm down with that. But no, I prefer like boots are like my jam. Okay, now if you said summer or fall, I would have said fall. I just want to throw that out there. Winter is just no, and I got to drive in it. No.
Yeah. Road trip or air travel?
I'm gonna say road trip. I really don't like flying, but to go anywhere fun, you gotta fly. So, but I'll say
chocolate or vanilla?
vanilla.
Call or text?
Text.
Planned or spontaneous?
Planned.
Go out or stay in?
I would say I like both, but I guess I'll choose go out.
That's it for our this and that game. And
fun.
Thank you so much for joining us today. It was definitely fun talking to you about all of your books, and I seriously can't wait for more. And yeah, thank you so much for joining us, because like I said, you are definitely one of my favorite forbidden authors, and so I look forward to your books.
Thank you. Can I just say also that I love both of you guys' feeds. You guys make the prettiest little like graphics, and I mean, Peng, you know. Wait, we didn't even talk about how you did all of my unlawful graphics.
Well, thank you for even.
Thank you so much. It's pretty.
Thank you.
Oh, were we not supposed to share that? Or
Oh no.
okay, but thank you so much. I love you guys are both so talented. I wish I could do like a fraction of what you guys do with Photoshop and all of your amazing images. Because I was actually going through because I was like, I know Jan has made something for me before, and I found the bittersweet love one you made, and I was like, this is seriously my favorite. Because since my Instagram went away, like, and I had to, redo it. I didn't have it, so I had to like go back through my archives. Like, I know it's here somewhere.
Still love that book so much too.
Thank you so much. You're amazing. Thank you for having me. I'm so honored you guys asked me to come chat with you. And I'm sorry for making you guys wake up at 7 a.m.
It's fine. Thank you so much for being, and we're so excited for your books. So excited for that Bodyguard Romance. Super excited, but thank you so much. And hopefully when that one comes out, maybe you can come back and we can talk all about that one.
I'm down. Let's do it.
But thank you so much. And we hope you have an amazing weekend. And like, we're so excited for what's to come.
Thank you so much. You guys have a great weekend too.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much, QB Tyler, for joining us today. It was amazing. I love her. She's so funny. She's such I love her, how excited she is about her books. And it makes me so excited for her books. I am dying for that Bodyguard one.
I know. We need more Bodyguard Romance.
Yes, I freaking love him. The last one I read was Twisted Games.
Yes, same here.
But yeah, I'm so excited for that one. I'm so excited for everything that's to come. Like I said, if you haven't read her Forgive Me Not, and if you don't yet, go ahead and give her a follow on Instagram. That way you don't miss any of her announcements, her book releases. Her Instagram handle is qbtyler.author. We are going to link it in our Instagram on our YouTube channel in case you can't find it. You can just head over there and we'll link it for you. If you guys have any questions for us, send us a message on Instagram. Our handle is @BookBuzzPodcast. And we hope you enjoyed today's podcast. We'll see you guys next week. Bye.
Bye.